Welcome back to another edition of AI Rabbit Holes. This is a video series on my channel where we go down the rabbit hole on various topics in the world of AI. And in this one's going to be a very interesting episode where we dive into Wikipedia and how AI is impacting Wikipedia. So, in this episode, I have William Beutler. Now, William is the founder and president of Beutler Inc., which is a creative digital agency specializing in Wikipedia strategy, brand storytelling, and reputation management for emerging brands and also Fortune 500 companies. So, William, thank you so much for joining this episode.
Ryan, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this will be a fun conversation. Obviously, AI is impacting a lot of what Wikipedia is doing. So, first, I want to start off. You built an agency around Wikipedia. Let's just start there. What made you see this as a business opportunity while others ignored it? Excuse me.
Sure. So I started the company in 2010, so quite a while ago now. But naturally, the story goes back a little bit before that. My background had been in journalism in Washington D.C., and I was interested in blogs when the blogosphere was brand new, an exciting place to be, and I had recently gotten to work for you would call it, I guess, a digital marketing agency. At the time, it didn't have that. It wasn't a social media agency because Facebook wasn't out for the public at the time I got there. But while I was there, like Twitter came along and a bunch of other platforms people have long since forgotten about, like Foursquare and GoWalla. But while everybody else was going into social media, I was starting to get into Wikipedia, like as a volunteer editor, because I found it to be fascinating, not unlike blogs were interesting to me. But also while I was at this company, some of their clients had Wikipedia pages, and it turns out that they would get in trouble if they tried to edit them. So I realized that it couldn't just be the end of the story to say, don't edit this page, just live with it. There has to be some feedback mechanism. So with my, expertise, it was still developing in Wikipedia, and with my ability to speak to kind of a corporate audience, kind of figured out how to put the two together. And it was kind of a value add for that agency. It was small potatoes for them, but for me, I was like, I bet I could actually hang out my own shingle and make it a going concern. And today the company is 17 people, and we've been doing it for 15 years. And yeah, we've been fortunate to work with some very large companies and also to partner with very large PR firms that still
Yeah.
to this day mostly don't do what we do. It remains both vital and niche 15 years in.
Yeah, very niche. A lot of
Yeah.
marketers, creators, and brands, they, in my opinion, ignore Wikipedia. It's just kind of there as like an informational source, not from a marketing perspective. What are they getting wrong about this as a visibility or just a trust channel for them?
Well, I will say that their decision not to mess with Wikipedia or not to try to figure it out, it is probably a rational calculation based on past experiences of trying to do something with it and being rebuffed. You hear that it's the free encyclopedia that anyone can edit. Well, that sounds inviting, but there's a big asterisk attached to that if you happen to be representing a brand or working in PR and marketing, and that is not always obvious until after you get your hand slapped. So I think a lot of folks have tried, failed, and the conventional wisdom has been passed down. I think of the classic Jack Nicholson movie, "Forget It, Jake, it's Chinatown." You know, forget it, Jake, it's Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But if you know something about it, it's a very steep learning curve. I'm very fortunate that I started editing back in 2006, and that you know I was in my 20s. I was single. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I could spend a lot of time pouring myself into Wikipedia, learning its rules and its customs, and so I think what they are missing, they are missing an opportunity to have a position, have representation on what remains one of the most influential websites on the entire web, and now, of course, in AI as well. But there's also the aspect that Wikipedia itself is not for everyone, in the sense that even though Wikipedia says it wants to have all of the world's knowledge, that's actually not quite true. They definitely set a high bar for their threshold for inclusion. The notability guideline is the operating controlling principle, and even that can be complicated for people. So, like, yeah, a lot of times it's like, I don't know, it'd be great if we could figure it out, but we can't. And they should come find us. But
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense too. I want to get into the AI portion of this because those listening and watching that they're probably waiting for me to ask this question, but I want to hear your response to did
yeah,
generative AI kill Wikipedia? And let me add some more context to this,
sure.
just that general answer. We see what Google is doing with Gemini and AI search results and
Hmm.
people shifting to LLMs and Perplexity, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I guess what is your response to that of did AI kill Wikipedia? Obviously, you're probably going to say no, but I guess what's the justification behind that?
Yeah, I'm going to say no, but it's also more complicated, right? There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack here. So I guess I'll start off with, to borrow a phrase from Mark Twain. I think it's Mark Twain. Rumors of Wikipedia's death are greatly exaggerated, and we've been here before. Actually, if you go back about a decade, when Google started to really borrow heavily from Wikipedia without always linking back. Like Google had decided to abandon their own free database to replace it with it's a Wikipedia sister project called Wikidata. They started leaning on that, but they also look heavily to Wikipedia, but don't always link back to it. And so editors at the time were concerned that, well, hey, it's great that our knowledge is being used. We do want that, but if people don't have pathways to come back and see Wikipedia content where it is, they may not even realize that it's possible for them to become an editor. So they just may not ever, like Wikipedia will actually turn 25 years old next year, which is kind of nuts that it's been around that long. So the editor base, the early people are older, and I don't want to be like in a panic about it. Like definitely Wikipedia's got new blood in, but there's always the concern that what if people don't, what if we don't keep replenishing the editor base and AI adds another layer in between readers and Wikipedia knowledge production. So, okay, it hasn't killed it because Wikipedia's traffic is still up there. And also, another thing we probably will get into more is just the fact that modern LLMs could not exist without Wikipedia. Both the training data it's the single biggest contributor to training data for all the sets. Granted, it's still a small percentage of the overall data, but the biggest single concentration. It was once the perfect website for Google and what Google's algorithm was looking for. It's now the perfect, structured website for AI to train on.
Well,
Then on top of that, when the training data cuts off and has to go do a RAG search to generate additional sources to verify information, ChatGPT specifically cites Wikipedia in almost 48% of all of its searches, according to a study from June of 2025. The others lean maybe a little more heavily on Reddit, but Wikipedia absolutely is still in the mix as well. So we're in this funny position where the AI chatbots that everybody is rushing to both depend on Wikipedia, but they also, potentially create a barrier between the editors or people becoming editors. And then on top of that, there's been a lot in the last few weeks about how like web traffic is down because they're not getting the clicks from
I
Google.
was just going to talk about that. My background's in SEO, so that was going to
Yeah,
be my next question is with AI search mode eventually going to become default with zero-click experiences or zero-click search experiences. If there's no traffic coming to Wikipedia, yet LLMs and Google, et cetera, are scraping their data and populating those in AI results, obviously that's an ethical question, no doubt about that. But
right,
we're talking about a significant loss in website traffic. So how exactly is Wikipedia, in your opinion, going to mitigate that?
right. Well, that's a good one because, like, first of all, I don't know what the traffic trends are. I haven't checked on that too recently. The last I had looked
I don't
into
trust
it,
any propaganda that comes out of Google, to be honest with you.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Wikipedia traffic had slowed that were potentially attributable to AI. Um, the thing with Wikipedia is it has a different model than all those other websites. When I was bringing up the traffic slowdown, I was thinking of the news media sites that Wikipedia relies upon for sources. Because Wikipedia wants reliable sources to verify information that's added. And if there are not a reliable source for a fact you want to add, generally speaking, that fact doesn't belong on Wikipedia because a trusted source, usually journalism, has not said that this is accurate and relevant. And so if there's just less of that reporting being done, there's less material available to put on Wikipedia. So that's the part that really kind of worries me in the short term. As far as the Wikipedia traffic goes, like, yes, everybody wants to have higher traffic. Wikipedia does have additional ways to be influential, both in terms of how Google uses it and how AI uses it. And they are not an ad driven. They don't have an ad driven model like so many other websites do. And they have the
It's
foundation.
still nonprofit. They rely on donations, right?
They do.
Yeah.
And granted, the donations could dry up a bit if there's not the same traffic, right? So, if you visit Wikipedia in November, you'll see one of those warning, I
Yeah.
say warning,
Every time. Yeah.
right? One of those templates, one of the banners is like, give to Wikipedia, or who knows what might happen.
I've seen that for 10 years now. So obviously some things haven't changed.
Well, one thing is they make a lot of money. They doing turning up the dial on the scare tactics just a little bit is, look, it's controversial among the Wikipedia editor base, and has become only more so every time, because the Wikimedia Foundation is, to use a highly specific term, it's loaded. It's got a budget in the hundreds of millions every year. It has an endowment that's also in the hundreds of millions. So,
Don't believe
and
those scare messages that come up if people are watching this about
right,
Wikipedia and the donations.
right. A couple of years ago they tried to tone it down a little bit, and guess what happened? The revenue went down, the donations went down, and so and look, for actually my firm was a vendor to the foundation at the time, and our project was ended early. No, I don't no hard feelings about it, but like, it even affected me. So you know Wikipedia is probably going to be pretty stable for a long time to come, is what I think. So this is where AI has not killed it. However, it definitely changes the equation, and it raises the salience of some questions about its long-term replenishment of editors and new content being updated on a regular basis. Wikipedia just hit 7 million articles. That's a lot of articles to keep running when Wikipedia's editor base is not growing at the same pace. So I don't know. You asked some good questions here.
Here's another good one for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how Wikipedia has certain sources that they get it from. I'm assuming major media sources, right?
Yep.
The New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. Here's
Yep.
something for you to think about, and you've probably already thought about it this way.
Yep.
What happens when these big media sources start leveraging AI more and more as they're partnering with OpenAI and they're partnering with Anthropic and all these AI companies, and they're starting to use AI in their actual articles that
Right.
Wikipedia pulls from? So now we have a big loop, not to mention what's stopping Wikipedia editors from using AI to add to existing Wikipedia articles. So now we're pulling in a
Right.
big loop of AI, getting from AI, and then getting from AI once again. What is your take to all of this?
Yeah. You said the snake eating its tail. You have two things. You have one about the major media using AI, and two about Wikipedia using it itself, which there's interesting things on both sides. I think it's a hell of a question how much the publications are going to be using AI. And I think it's going to be different. I don't think you're going to see the New York Times replacing its shoe leather reporting with AI. The New
For
York
sure.
Times in
Yeah, I
particular
agree with
has,
that. But there have been instances, like there was a big
yeah,
story. If you look up Bankrate using AI, Bankrate's a big, obviously, financial site. Well, that's one of the best PR plays I've seen of all time, because they picked up all these 90 DR links from stories covering, hey,
hmm.
Bankrate used AI. They called it out. Well, guess what? They got a million backlinks from it. It was a genius PR play. So but the point is, there's more sites, big sites like Bankrate, that are
Right.
leveraging AI, and maybe some minor news stories, not the big ones per se.
Yeah. Well, a similar thing happened with ZDNet, I think it was.
Yeah.
Changed hands a couple of years ago, and the new owners decided that they were going to create a bunch of stories using AI. So actually, Wikipedia editors, like, in terms of whether you can use ZDNet as a source, they like split it up into eras. So before this time, it's okay. After this time, it's not. So it is going to be an increasing challenge to tell, kind of what's real from what's not. And I think we've already seen these debates happen among Wikipedia editors about which sources will accept, and the same thing with the traffic going down to these publications. It's going to limit the number of sources that Wikipedia is comfortable using. That will lead to more arguments about, hey, why can't I get this fact into Wikipedia? It's true. Well, we don't have the right source for it because only AI is covering it. Yes, definitely a challenge. Let me also get to what Wikipedia is doing with AI. Because I'll tell you what, in my experience, I know a lot of people throughout the community. I go to the conferences, a
Right.
lot of friends there. They're not universally anti-AI. A lot of them are as curious as anybody about it, including potentially how to use it. There's a guy this guy who's the head of Wikimedia in New York City. He's been one of the people I know who's been like experimenting the most with trying to write articles. And there's more than one mind about it. So actually, a couple of weeks ago, there was a minor scandal at Wikipedia where the foundation rolled out this very limited experiment on a small number of articles visible to like 10% of its user base. They were showing AI summaries of articles. And this hadn't even rolled out yet. It was just kind of like announced that it was coming, and there was this huge revolt, and they shelved it. The AI edit summaries never saw the light of day because the editors looking at it were like, well, they are hallucinating. Like they're not getting it right. Wikipedia cares. Wikipedia, in theory, cares a lot about getting things right. Not to say that there's not problems with a lot of the content, but you know when Wikipedia is on, it's really good, and this was not good. So there was a bit of a pushback there, especially because I was coming top down.
Hmm.
On the other hand, though, you can see editors in certain places creating articles with AI and doing so with like people kind of like keeping an eye on it, but they're okay. I forget which language it is, but there's this minor language edition of Wikipedia that went from, let's just say it was a few thousand entries to like a few million entries, and it was accomplished through AI. Well, they wouldn't exist at all without AI. So I guess it's better that it's here than not, but you also have to be a little more cautious about them. So there's
Super
also this thing
interesting. Yeah,
called
just
Wiki.
super interesting what's going on with the whole like loop from AI's, generating the source, and Wikipedia is getting the source that was
Right.
generated by AI, and then you got editors using AI in the mix. I want to talk about WikiWatch. I haven't talked about that yet. That's one of your
Yeah,
AI tools. I don't know if you still run that or if you still
sure
have it
do.
or whatnot. What is WikiWatch exactly, and why should brands, marketers, etc., maybe look into a tool like WikiWatch?
Yeah, you bet. So WikiWatch is a software as a service web tool by subscription that my company developed over the course of a few years. And so wikiwatch.net, if you want to kind of have a look at just the marketing site. Um, the whole idea there is keeping track of changes on Wikipedia can be a real pain if have more than one page to follow. You don't want to just go back and keep clicking. Like, does Wikipedia have an option to set up an Atom feed for that? Yes, they do. If you create an account, can you use their monitoring tool? You can, but it is not well designed for people who work in PR and marketing. It's designed for insiders, and will not regularly send you emails. Maybe it can, but I've never figured it out. Well, so WikiWatch, you have yourself a dashboard, and you can add the pages that you care about to the dashboard. You can choose to receive real-time alerts when the changes occur. Well, the AI step that we took a year and a half ago now was to include, actually, speaking of summaries, AI edit summaries of the changes that occur in each edit. Because if you get a link from Wikipedia saying, here's the link to the thing that changed, you find yourself on a page, it's called a diff, and it is very ugly. It's like the backside of Wikipedia, and has a lot of information that is difficult to kind of sort through. You kind of have to know what you're looking at. WikiWatch tells you exactly what happened. And, we feed the diffs into our AI, and it will spit out, a plain English, totally straightforward, and in our experience, like over 99% accurate summary of what's happening. So yeah, it's a tool that our strategists use, and some of our clients who are working with us on long-term development projects will use it. And then we have some companies that also just use it on their own for monitoring. It's especially good for like big companies that have a lot of different pages to keep track of. So we have a very large retail company in the top half of the Fortune 50 that is one of the users of what is totally a niche, niche software product. We developed it because we wanted to use it, and then figured this is actually pretty good. Like we should put it out there, and so that's another offering from Beutler Inc. Yeah.
For sure. And in general, getting your brand mentioned inside Wikipedia is still a huge trust signal. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize with LLMs and AI search. It's like they're getting these results from trust signals. The whole SEO is dead argument. Sure, there's some elements that are true, some elements that are false. But one thing
Agreed.
that's always stayed true is the trust signals.
Yeah.
Wikipedia is a major trust signal if your brand's featured in there, hopefully in a positive light, not a negative light.
Right.
Google reviews, backlinks, right? These are all just example of trust signals that LLMs pull in for their AI generated results. So one other question I had just to follow up on that,
Yeah.
if you had to boil it down to just one rule for marketers or brands kind of dealing with Wikipedia, what would that be?
Okay. I'm going to squeeze two rules into the one rule. It's called disclose and don't edit. The two things, just the baseline knowledge to not get yourself all screwed up is if you're going to go represent your brand, your boss, your client, whatever, if you have a direct financial connection, the Wikipedia terms of use say you got to disclose it. You just got to disclose it. And if you don't, you can get your account blocked. The second thing is, well, technically, it is not 100% against the rules to go in and make direct changes. As a practical matter, you're going to be a lot better off if you go to the discussion page associated with the article that you are focused on and post an edit request to ask for a volunteer editor to consider the change you want to make. Now, there's a lot of like much easier said than done to this because you got to know what Wikipedia's rules are. You got to know what the sources it likes are, all that stuff. Again, that's why I was able to build a whole consultancy around it. But, I would say over the years we've done it, I have seen more, PR consultants and firms figure out the right way to do it. I say that noting that there is still, unfortunately, a large network of scams who frankly just they promise results and then disappear.
Fiverr, Upwork, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, I've never, of course, hired anybody off Fiverr or Upwork, but like I bet they're more legit than some of the. There's a lot of like if you Google like Wikipedia editing help, you will very quickly find all these pages that are like 5 stars on Trustpilot, 100% money guaranteed back.
SEO manipulation 101, bro. We could go down that rabbit hole.
Totally. Or they'll like have like a list of like logos for major media outlets. And like it's supposed to make you think it's an as seen on, but it never actually says that. And there's certainly no links. Like, oh, CNBC? Wow, I've heard of that. Anyway, skip those. It's a murky market, even to this day. And so there's a lot of client education that goes involved in terms of like, we still talk to clients who would have worked with an agency that never told them that they were supposed to disclose their connection and ask for help. There are some agencies that know better and prey upon their clients and just like charge a lot of money, go in, make a direct edit, hope no one's the wiser. And, every once in a while they get pulled into an edit war that gets super ugly and the client is miserable.
Yeah.
We take a lot of that, heartburn out of it.
Yeah, that's great. And this has been a fun conversation for sure. I want to hear your final take, William, as we're kind of wrapping up close to time now. Where do you think this is all going when it comes to Wikipedia, AI, right? Obviously, generative AI isn't going to slow down. LLMs aren't going to slow down. AI search isn't going to slow down. What is your, just bold prediction in the next maybe 1, 2, or 3 years of whether it's Wikipedia, maybe it's a new Wikipedia that pops up from all of this? I want just like a quick prediction from you on where you see this all going.
My quick prediction would be the rising importance of Wikidata. Which is a sister project to Wikipedia. It's like if Wikipedia is meant to be read by humans, Wikidata is meant to be read by computers. It's structured knowledge. It's a database. It's on the web. You can go visit it. It's not very pretty to look at. The LLMs do not link to it in the citations the way that they will link to Wikipedia or to Reddit, but it stands to reason that it is helping the LLMs to reduce hallucinations. Like it's in the mix. And not everybody qualifies for a Wikipedia page, but pretty much everybody qualifies for a Wikidata page. So as like, your line of work as SEO is transforming, like your line of work and my line of work, they are coming together as the GEO or AEO for generative engine.
LLMO, DEO. I've heard a million terms for it now. Yeah,
Ryan, let me ask, do you have a preferred term at this point?
I do. It's called SEO and it stands for search everywhere optimization, not search engine
Ooh.
optimization.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna start using it myself, but
I
I
mean, I
think
could go
that's
down the rabbit hole, bro. If you talk about YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, SEO
right.
is applicable to all of those. And that's why I call it search everywhere optimization.
That's clever. I like it. Yeah, these things. I mean, so like Wikipedia and Wikidata and Reddit certainly are big contributors, as YouTube certainly is a big contributor to Gemini. I think that it's going to make the SEO and the Wiki/AEO market even more intense, more intensely competitive. And because all of a sudden we have this paradigm shift, there's just going to be a lot more attention on it. So, like I can say, within the last couple of months, I have seen a serious uptick, not just in people asking about, like, hey, I want to get my wiki in order because I know that AI is talking about us, but also people coming to us through AI, like ChatGPT is recommending my firm to clients, which is awesome. Although sometimes it's pulling old data, like services we have modified and don't
Right.
offer in that version anymore. So we are kind of working on our own answer engine optimization to get it to accurately describe our current mix of services.
Yeah, it all comes back to trust signals, and I'll wrap it up with this. The big thing that I guess interests me the most is if Wikipedia decides to block scrapers from OpenAI or Anthropic or Google from
Mm-hmm.
scraping all of their data. Well, obviously
Mm-hmm.
that's going to take away their ability to show up in search results or AI
Mm-hmm.
generated results. But what's to say that, they're not going to link anyways? Everyone's moving towards a zero click experience where they want you and I to go to a search engine, go to an LLM, get our answer and stay there. That's all they want. They don't want us to go to these external websites. And so that's really interesting to me. And I know in terms of Wikipedia, that's a very interesting scenario as well.
Yeah, I know we're trying to wrap up here, so I don't want to start a whole new thing.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
will just say, um, Wikipedia definitely has been feeling the weight of the AI scraper bots, and so earlier this year they teamed up with Kaggle, which is a division of Alphabet, to create a cleaned data set of Wikipedia articles in English and in French, with the sources removed, to offer them up to the AI bots, saying, please come scrape this, data dump that's specifically made for you. Please leave our poor Wikipedia servers alone because we want that to be for our readers. So I think that was an interesting move, and hopefully that works out. Because
Yeah.
yes,
We'll definitely
optimizing
see
can
where
be.
it all goes. So I guess where can people follow you, William, to learn more about what you're doing?
Best place to come look for me, look for us would be our website, butlerinc.com. I really have reduced my activity on social media over the past few years. So I used to say, follow me on Twitter, but I don't even have a Twitter anymore. But
Excellent.
LinkedIn is probably where we're the most active of all places, crazily. And you know what? TikTok. Not me personally, but some of the Gen Z folks in my team, we have we do wiki related content on TikTok. So I look up Butler Inc. on TikTok. I forget if
Cool.
we're like Bink
Yeah.
Talk or something, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll leave those links in the video description below after this is
perfect.
published. Well, William, thank you so much again for your time. And thank you to everyone for watching or listening to this edition of AI Rabbit Holes. Hope you learned something about Wikipedia, potentially AI killing it, AI not killing it. But be sure to tune in again for the next video.